right, hello everyone. This is Nancy Rebecca and my weekly upload on YouTube as I talk about the health of the human energy field, the dynamics of the human energy field. And this week I'm talking about energetic boundaries. And I had scheduled this topic months ago, and I always find it a bit ironic about just how appropriate, even though at the time I was choosing it rather what I thought was kind of randomly, that how appropriate it is during this really great time of change on Earth, and at the same time a very painful time for humanity on Earth. So I'm a registered nurse. I had an out-of-body experience in the 90s. I work now to help people kind of understand the dynamics of their own human energy field to help them kind of navigate life in a kind of balanced and whole way. But I also venture into not only those things that we hold inside of us that can impact our outer life, but what's going on in the world and how it impacts our inner life. But in this particular subject, I'm talking about energetic boundaries. So, just boundaries in general. I kind of want to talk about several kind of categories of boundaries. So I will invite you to, especially if this subject is really kind of triggering you in a big way, or it's really just kind of like weighing a bit heavy on you, or whatever that signal is that I just might need to do a little bit more work around this. I invite you to look up boundaries, and this isn't boundary lines of land. This is mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual boundaries. So look that up and be able to define that for yourself. But boundaries are just like that. I mean, how many times have you said no? Don't do that. I'm drawing a line in the sand. I said it again. How many times do I have to say it? And after you've set a really what you consider a strong boundary, then those in your life just kind of step over it and step on it and walk on you like a doormat. It's just like boom. It's just like all the boundaries are crossed again. So that's kind of what I'm talking about here, where you can kind of mentally think about your boundaries. You can verbally talk about boundaries, but energetically you don't have any boundaries. So I just wanted to let you know that boundaries, the third chakra, and I know that you can't see me on the camera, but I have both my hands on my third chakra right now. So if you know where that is, go ahead and put your hands there so you can really kind of feel into the energy of the third chakra and feel into, just kind of set your intention to feel into the boundaries. So our third chakra is located between the navel and the diaphragm area. It's where our gut instinct is. And I always talk about this kind of gut instinct as our early warning system. It's going to let you know if it contracts and you feel nauseated and something doesn't feel good. The first thing you want to do is you kind of want to look around what's going on in your life, what has caused you to contract. And so sometimes it can be that you can meet someone and it's like, I don't feel very good about this interaction. Or you can be at work and someone walks in and it's like, okay, I just don't feel good all of a sudden. Then it's like, or you're walking down a certain street and then suddenly it's like, oh, my gut instinct is trying to tell me something. Then you might want to turn around and go back onto a busier street. So it can, your gut can really tell you if a boundary is being crossed, because this is the spiritual library about power, boundaries, self-esteem, and illuminating your own soul's light. But it can also really expand when you're feeling respected. So I consider boundaries very equal with respect. If you honor somebody's boundaries, you're respecting them as a person. Or if they're honoring your boundaries, they're respecting you as a person. And right now, we just do not have very much respect on the planet right now, especially here in the United States. We don't have a lot of respect for ourselves, for each other, for our appointed leaders, our bosses. We just right now, respect is sorely lacking in the world. So I consider boundaries and respect to be on the same wavelength, kind of that frequency, that vibe together. They're a very similar energy. But the other thing is, yeah, when you're feeling respected, then your solar plexus can expand. If somebody says, wow, I really like this about you, or, they raise your self-esteem, or you raise your self-esteem by saying, I did really cool today. I'm really proud of myself. That really opens up the solar plexus and really also strengthens your boundaries. So I would say, number one, the first thing you want to do is just to educate yourself on even what a boundary is. Because I remember when I went through therapy in my 30s, I didn't know what a boundary was. Like, that's what therapy was about. Did you know that this was a boundary? No, I didn't. And so I learned and was educated through therapy, and then I've read a lot of books about boundaries. So you want to learn more about boundaries. The next thing you want to do is you want to be clear about how do you set boundaries with yourself. So I kind of use this example for those souls who've come to this earth to work with the lesson of addiction. So we can have all kinds of addictions. We just know some of the main ones are drugs, alcohol, gambling, sex addiction, eating. Those having food addictions, smoking. So those can be addictive type patterns in our own energy field that we need to learn how to set boundaries with the addiction that we hold inside of us. And for some people, that can be a really hard, long life lesson. But it is still a divine lesson, and it is still something that you're working on. So you'll want to make notes about what are some of your addictions. Like, we're really addicted to our phones, right? Or we're addicted to the news. So there's lots of things, or video games. We can be addicted to all those sorts of things. So all of that addiction can impact your solar plexus. So then you're not able to set boundaries with yourself, and you're really not able to set boundaries with others. And then, of course, there's those boundaries with others where you say no. It's like you're setting the boundary. You're telling someone, this is my rule of engagement. This is what feels comfortable for me. Like, you let people know what's important to you. And you also listen. Like right now, during the protest that are happening in the United States, the one thing I keep hearing is that what we're being asked to do is to listen, not talk so much, but just listen where the imbalances are. Listen to where boundaries have been crossed for hundreds or thousands of years. Listen to what's being said from a place of your heart as well. And so in those boundaries that we're setting with others, others may not know. You won't know unless you listen or you ask. So the example I like to give a lot is some people like to be touched. Some people don't like to be touched. But if you're a touchy-feely kind of person, you might assume that everybody's touchy-feely. So I have an example of a couple of weeks ago. I went in for an appointment, and the person that came in got a chair, scooted right close to me, right inside my kind of auric bubble, reached out, touched my hand to express some information. So 2 boundaries were crossed. And let's just put the coronavirus off to the side. 2 boundaries were crossed. This person made an assumption that I wanted them close to me. The other assumption they made is that I want to be touched. At no time did this person ask, is it all right if I sit near you? Is it all right if I touch your hand? So, however, I tuned into the intention, because that's the thing about boundaries, is what's the intention? What I knew was this person did not intend to harm me, did not intend to hurt me. So there was no intention of hurt or harm, and I could tell that this person's intention was caring, kind and concerned, and that's that vibe that this person wanted to express. So I could give them some grace in relationship to them crossing my boundaries. But I have another story. You know, we always take trips to South Africa, and we had a participant with us, and who became very upset because she really felt like the group kind of infringed on the boundaries of the aura, the boundaries of the bubble, caused her to feel unsafe, and got really upset and really wanted to have a conversation with the group. You know, you really kind of pushed me, you made me feel frightened. That's not okay. These are my boundaries. But let me explain the situation. We came around the corner in the van, and there was a gigantic African elephant with these enormous long tusks. And if you've never seen an African elephant in the wild, you are going to lose all sense. Your sense of enthusiasm and your sense of excitement is going to come to the surface, and you're just going to rush towards the area where you can witness this magnificent being. So again, this person got upset, but the intention, nobody meant harm. Nobody meant to hurt her. They didn't understand, though, that it frightened her. So the reason why I explain this is because we have those gut instincts about our boundaries, but sometimes we can get, if we have, I call them trauma triggers from childhood, that every situation can feel unsafe to you. Like I know a woman that it was an unsafe environment. She was picked up by Child Protective Services when she was only 2 years old. She was put in the foster care system. She moved through a lot of foster care systems. And so as an adult, she did not feel safe around any other human. It didn't matter how nice anyone was to her. She was having the trauma trigger that was saying, all my boundaries are being crossed. I'm not safe. If I let somebody in even a little tiny bit, they're going to abuse me. They're going to hurt me. They're going to harm me. And so if you are in that similar situation where you don't feel safe, one of the number one things as a nurse that I recommend is that you that you consider talking to a therapist, and then meditation can help as well. There's certain meditation techniques that we teach to help kind of start to dismantle some of those triggers that cause your third chakra to contract, even if someone just wants to say, let's go for an ice cream. It's like, oh, I can't do that. It doesn't feel safe to go out and get an ice cream. So it can be really, to the average person, feel like safety, but to you not. Or like if you've been at war and you have been trained to be on high alert because the enemy's all around, and then you come back home to the United States and you're supposed to be safe in your environment, but you still are getting triggered from needing to prepare for the enemy, if everybody's the enemy. So we have like the coronavirus. So I want to kind of I talked about personal, internal, sharing maybe personal boundaries, kind of giving the rules of engagement. Let someone know, I like to be touched, I don't like to be touched. I like to be asked before you share your opinion, or I like to just have a conversation. So I call those the rules of engagement. But then we kind of talk about some of the bigger kind of boundaries that are being set right now, like around the coronavirus. You must wear a mask. You must distance yourself 6 feet apart. If you're sick, stay home. So those are some more kind of leadership and scientific boundaries that were set to help keep us safe. But it's very clear that a lot of people, they're like, I don't want to wear a mask. I don't want to distance. I don't think leadership should get to tell me what to do with my life. So then how does that cross over into what's good for the whole, not just what's good for me? And I'm not saying either way is right or wrong. I'm just saying these are things to contemplate. or like with the protesting that's happening right now, and about the boundaries that have been crossed with people of color, or which is kind of, there's lots of different kind of social boundaries that have been crossed with people throughout our history. But if those boundaries have been crossed, right now what I can see is happening energetically on the earth is that we're changing the rules of engagement, meaning we set a boundary that we don't want to be treated like this. You treated us like this again, and now we're going to up the expression of no more. You're not going to cross these boundaries anymore. So again, it comes from the solar plexus, and it's about strengthening that solar plexus. So let me just talk about the human energy field. So you can speak strong boundaries, you can think strong boundaries, but you can have a very thin aura. You can have holes in your aura. You can have an aura that doesn't go all the way around your body. And I've talked about the aura before. You know, the aura is kind of your first line of defense, your first line of protection before it actually gets to the human body. So, and I have talked about a video, and you can go back and look at that, about the aura. I talk a lot about ways that you can help to make it healthier. But right now, and we can talk about, you know, diet and sleep and all those things that I talk about in the video. But right now, what we're talking about on Earth is those boundaries that are being crossed that are destructive to humanity, that are not healthy for humanity. And so that's why everybody is just so angry right now, is that, you know, it's a time for change on our earth, and it has to happen. And I know that when all this kind of exploded, it might look messy, but I can just tell you, I could breathe easier, because it was just like balling up that anger and that rage for so long, and then finally, you know, letting it out. I talked about this as well. The energy of the United States is in the flow again. It's not stuck. And so, so we're learning about boundaries. So your energy field can be unhealthy. So you can speak strong boundaries, but it just crosses over. Energy can come into your energy field. And so you do want to boost that solar plexus chakra. You do want to help it to be stronger. And you can look at the video as well, where I talk about the third chakra, if you want more information about that. But I would like to lead you through maybe like a 7 or 8 minute meditation. And so, but I want to talk about boundaries first. So a lot of us who do spiritual work, and we do all, you know, kind of culturally, indigenously, religiously, we all have ways of kind of putting extra protection around us. I believe that our best protection is to be really, really, really grounded. I can see when someone grounds strongly. I can watch their aura get thicker and more resilient. When someone tries, like, you can surround yourself by the white light of God, but it can be any color, match with your intention. So it's like, I'm going to surround myself with royal blue with the intention that only truth come in through it, and untruth, or what's the word I like to use? Illusions. That illusions get blocked. I don't want to buy into any more illusions. I only want truth to come through my field. Or you can surround with the divine light of green and say, you know, I just want new things and healthy things and uplifting things. I don't want anything that's not going to be healthy and healing for me. So as you can see, you can choose a color to surround yourself by, but also intention. Once I was working with a woman who was an attorney. She was ill, so she came to see me. So it's a lot of reasons why someone will come to see me. And she was just feeling very weak inside. So I'll kind of fast forward to the outcome. And the outcome was, I saw in her energy field this big metal tank. It almost looked like one of those old polio tanks. And it was metal, and it was almost like energetically I could knock on it, and it was almost, you hear the ping, ping, ping of a metal kind of drum, and it was very thick. So I was able to energetically send healing energy to that area and help it dissolve and break down. And actually, it didn't take that long to move the energy, transform it, and change it. The client then said she felt a lot better. She felt like she could breathe again. She felt strong inside again. What she explained to me later was she was an attorney, and she said it's like a battlefield at times in the courtroom where people are throwing a lot of energy back and forth. And so she just thought, I'm going to make a really strong boundary with this metal tank when I go into the courtroom. But what happened in that situation was then she couldn't receive in good, healthy energy, and she couldn't even let out toxic energy. She was kind of trapped in her own bubble. So again, you have to be intentional, and you have to try to be a little more conscious about what you choose to do. I was working with another woman who was a healer as well. She came in, she was also sick. As soon as I saw her energy field, she looked like an artichoke. Have you ever seen an artichoke at the grocery store? It's got those really hard layers. She had so many shields around her aura to protect her that, again, healthy energy couldn't get in, her own toxic energy couldn't get out. And so you definitely want to be protected, but have healthy ways of engaging with the energy that's around you. So, and I'm going to talk about a boundary rose. So I teach a lot of this with all of our students in our program. So it's called a boundary rose. A rose is a vibration and a frequency that's the highest frequency of any of the plant medicines. So when you create a boundary rose, and I'm going to have you kind of set it out at the edge of your aura, it's going to help enhance a high frequency in your energy field. And anything that you attract, it's going to help attract those high, healthy, supportive energies that are in alignment with a high frequency. And it's going to dissolve or kind of create a barrier of unhealthy frequencies. Now, is it going to totally protect you? No, nothing is going to totally protect you. But it definitely is like the doorbell that's like, okay, somebody's at the door. Am I going to let this information in, or am I going to keep the door closed? So it's kind of your early warning system that goes with your gut instinct. So let's do a little meditation. So go ahead and close your eyes and turn within. And just say hello to your body and just give your body some love right now. I mean, the stress levels for everyone is high. Everyone is working hard to make huge spiritual changes on the earth. And our bodies are really feeling it right now. So thank your body for being present, and ask your body what you can do to help it feel more supported during this active healing time in the United States and on the earth. Beautiful. Say hello to your spirit. Thank your spirit for being present for you, and let your spirit know that you want to know more about boundaries. You want to be able to recognize your boundaries, recognize if you're crossing a boundary. Ask your spirit over the next several weeks to show you and teach you about boundaries. Now ask your spirit to help you imagine and create an image that's going to be a grounding image. Because remember I said that grounding is your number one, enhances your ability to have strong boundaries. So it can be a tree, an ancient tree with roots, or it can be any image, a rainbow or a waterfall, a steel beam, anything that your spirit guides you to. So create that image and help it to secure it to the lower part of your aura, your energy field, and then connect deep at the earth core, the other end, to strengthen your grounding. Remind yourself of what today's date is. I call that present timing, as well as your current age. I call that present aging. And then set your intention to let go of any confusion around boundaries, to let go of any energy. Write down your grounding that would interfere with your ability to set strong boundaries. You don't even have to know what it is. Just say, I'm letting go of anything that might weaken my ability to set strong boundaries. Let it go with ease and effortlessness. Now create in your mind's eye a large ball of golden healing energy, and imagine it just flowing down the top of your aura, kind of like cracking an egg open, and it just flows right down. This gold just flows right down, and it's going to help just heal and any holes or tears you might have in your aura, so that it's equally balanced, your aura, on the right, left, front, back, top, bottom. And let it just rinse anything out of your aura that might weaken your energy field. Let it just drain right down the grounding. Ooh, that feels nice. So as that gold is still just rinsing down your aura, let's play in our minds and create a beautiful image of a rose. A beautiful, healthy, it can be any color that you want. It can be maybe multiple colors. Imagine that it's fragrant. Maybe you can even taste rose water in your mouth. Maybe you can even smell the rose oil essence. And then imagine that with your mind, you're going to move that out, and that image of a rose out in front of your forehead, 1 to 2 feet out in front of your third eye. And you're just going to let that boundary rose float right there, right out at the edge of your aura. Remember I said it's kind of like the doorbell. It's going to be right out in front of your third eye. And as you're tapped into that high rose frequency, you're on the inside of your bubble. How does it feel with that boundary rose up? How do you feel inside your bubble? Oh, that feels nice. Let's create a little contrast for learning purposes. So let go of that boundary rose. Drop it down your grounding 100%. And for contrast, what does your aura feel like without that high frequency boundary rose in place? What do you feel like now on the inside of your bubble? All right, let's create that contrast for learning again. Imagine that beautiful rose, rose oil, rose water, intoxicating fragrance, strength, that high vibration frequency of that beautiful rose, whatever color or colors, and then project it out in front of your third eye area, 1 to 2 feet out. Remember your little rose doorbell there out in front of your aura. And now what does that feel like again? What's your learning experience? All right, leave that rose there, and I'm just going to teach you one other simple spiritual technique that you can use for yourself around boundaries. So think of someone in your life that you struggle to keep boundaries with. Maybe you're crossing theirs, maybe they're crossing yours, maybe you're both just merged and crossed over in each other's business. Just think of one person right now. And now, just state this intention. If any of my energy is in their energy field, and then you just say the name in your mind. If any of my energy is in their energy field, I'm going to call it all back to me now. I'm going to fill my aura back up with my own energy. I'm going to pull it out of their energy field and call it all back to me. How does it feel as you're filling back up with your own soul's essence that you left in somebody else's field? How does that feel to you? Now set your intention. If there is any of their energy in my energy field, I'm going to send it back to them now. I'm going to send all their energy back to their own energy field. I mean, that's their house. That's where they belong. And just send it all back, and just imagine that you're releasing out of your aura this individual's energy to go back to their energy field as you are creating healthy, energetic boundaries. there's some good healing happening right now. Beautiful. Whenever you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes, move your body around a little bit. So, boundaries is a gigantic subject, and I have already gone over on my time that I had intended. I crossed my own time boundary, but I want to give you several calls to action. So, one of the calls to action is do your homework, learn about boundaries, educate about boundaries, and over the next few weeks, pay attention with your eyes open and ask your spirit to help create circumstances so you know what a boundary is and what it isn't, so you can embody the understanding. The other call to action is just to take 5 or 10 minutes to ground yourself before you go out through your day, or you're engaging even with someone on the telephone, that you can still have energy that crosses. And then play with that boundary rose, talking to a friend. Put it up, listen to how the conversation goes with the friend, let it drop. You don't even have to tell your friend, you're dropping the boundary rose. See how the conversation goes. Bring the boundary rose back up. It can really be a fun exercise so that you are having an experience that you can't deny. So you want to play with putting boundary roses up. Maybe you're talking to your kids, your boss, whatever. Play with the boundary rose up and down and decide what you're most comfortable with. So yeah, I think that's it. Oh, subscribing to my channel. If you like the teachings and what I talk about, it resonates with you, and you'd like to know more as I release the other videos, please hit the subscribe button. And then there's that little bell there, kind of like I said, the little bell for it. Or if you click on that little bell, then you get notified when I upload another video. All right, everyone. Thanks for hanging in there. I know it's a long recording, but it was really full of some great information and great learning to take with you out in the world during this great time of change. All right, take care, everyone.